Good morning, gamers. So today we're going to continue with the B game, and I'm going to be teaching you guys about collision detection. So remember yesterday we added that flower that's falling from the sky. It's going a little fast. I'm going to slow it down. Added that flower that's coming from the sky, and now we want to make it so if the bee is touching the flower, then we get a point. We collect some pollen, and I was thinking we collect enough pollen. We make honey, you get enough honeys, you win the game. Maybe some kind of enemy that you gotta fight off, use the honey to fight it off, but this is our start here. So how are we gonna detect if something is touching something else? So first things first, a really cool tool that you can use is Sprite Debug. So this is gonna allow us to see the hitboxes of our enemies. So I'm gonna do b.debug equals true. Debug is a Boolean value that you can set to true or false. And I'm going to set both of those to true. Alright, so now you can see the hitboxes. You see this green box now? You can see the hitboxes around both of our sprites. They look pretty good. In more advanced games, you're going to want to change your hitboxes to make them like picture perfect. But for this game, these rectangles look fine to me. So we're going to just keep them like that. Okay, next thing we want to do is, well, an if statement. Like what we've been saying is if something happens, then we want to do something, right? So we'll make it so if I'm touching the flower. So let's see, it's under sprites. We're going to find is touching right there. So is touching is a Boolean value. So if the bee is touching the flower, then we want to increase a score. So how are we going to keep track of a score? So a score is going to be a variable. So I'm going to make this variable at the beginning of my game. So remember the basic pattern for these programs is you're initializing all your variables up here, and then we have the game draw loop, which is responding to input and reacting. So I'm going to start the score at 0. Then if the bee is touching the flower. Okay, I'm just going to do something. Remember, background white is always the first thing you want to do, so I'm just going to drag that back up. Now, if the bee is touching the flower, then we're going to use that counter pattern again. If you remember this, we're going to set score equals to score plus 1. You can check out the last video to hear about, 2 videos ago, I guess, to hear more about the counter pattern, but this pattern is really important in computer science. The right-hand side takes the previous value of score, 0. 0 plus 1 equals 1, and it drops it into the score button. So now, every time I touch it, the score is going to go up. But we can't see the score on the screen yet. So how are we going to do that? I think we want to draw a value on the screen. I can't quite remember where oh, drawing. There we go. I want to draw a text, a value of score. So, the text box is kind of tricky. So if I just put score in quotes, it's going to write the literal word score, and we can't see it. So let's move it. Oh, there. Maybe you can see it, but I'm going to move it down a little. So, all right. Sorry, that moves it to the right a little, and then I'm going to increase this. Let's make it a little bigger. Text size. So think of these text blocks as like you're selecting your pen and then you're drawing. So I'm going to select my pen size of 20, and then I'm going to draw a score. Okay. I don't want the actual word score, though. I want the value of my score variable. So inside quotes is the literal word. It's called a string. You're going to learn more about that. But if you don't use quotes, then it's going to find a variable called score. So we made a variable called score up here. Awesome. All right, and now let's see what happens. When I hit the flower, nice. It's increasing the score, you can see, but it's increasing it a lot. It's because, remember I said that draw loop is like an infinite loop. So if B is touching flower, score equals score plus 1, it looks like that's happening. The bee is touching the flower for more than one iteration of our loop. So every time this loop goes through, it checks if the bee is touching the flower, which it is a lot. You can see the flower is touching the bee for a while as it goes through. So the score goes up a bunch. But how can we make it so the instant the bee touches the flower goes back to the top? Well, we already have that logic right here. So we're just going to copy this and paste it, and then drag that into this if statement. So now every time I touch a flower, my point goes up by 1, and it resets the flower to the top of the screen. All right, so we're starting to get somewhere with this game. We can collect flowers. Maybe we'll want to add some more flowers, add some enemies, but we have a point system. We have a variable storing a score, and we can, collect flowers, make that pollen, get that honey. That's what we're doing with our bee game here. So, wow, this is pretty fun. All right, the next episode, we're going to learn a little bit about something called encapsulation or abstraction. It's going to organize our code a little more. It's kind of getting messy to understand this draw loop, so we're going to clean it up a bit. But until next time.